This is the 6th time that I've recorded this video. I tried to make this review like I would a microphone review, but this isn't just a microphone. I then tried to make it like a mixer review, but it's also not really a mixer. So what happens when you try to combine a microphone with a mixer? I'm John Horstman, and today we're going to see what's up with Elgato's Project Wave. Before we get started, 2 quick things. First, I was provided with the Wave 1 and Wave 3 microphones by Elgato for the purpose of my honest review. Second, if you did like the review, take a moment and hit the subscribe button down below, give the video a thumbs up, and hit the bell to get notifications when I post my next video. Elgato is a company that has made products in 2 different ways. The first way is to simplify and repackage existing technologies into a way that works for a content creator's workflow and then market it to them. The Elgato green screen and key light are great examples of that. The second way they create products is they see a need in the market that isn't being totally met by any other existing solutions out there and create something new. The Stream Deck is probably the best example of that strategy. To be honest, I'm not quite sure where I put the Wave 1 and Wave 3 microphones. On the surface, they're 2 USB condenser microphones. Underneath, they've created the WaveLink app, which is a software mixer that allows you to route and mix audio for your headphones and your stream separately or together. Combining 2 products into one is kind of risky because they need to hold their own as the individual product, a microphone and a software mixer, but they also need to complement each other and work well together. However, if they pull it off, Elgato has created a new market that they'll enjoy exclusively, and competitors are going to be playing catch up for at least the next year. So in this video, we're going to try and answer 3 different things. Number 1, did Elgato make a good USB condenser microphone? Number 2, did Elgato make a good mixer? And number 3, does this combination of solutions make sense for content creators? We don't have a ton of time, so let's dive in. The Elgato Wave 1 and Wave 3 are both USB condenser microphones. They partnered with Lewitt Audio, a well-respected microphone company who also utilized the signature ice cream sandwich microphone design. The Wave 1 gets its name for the single knob on the front of the microphone that controls your headphone volume, and pushing the knob in functions as a mic mute. The Wave 3, on the other hand, gets its name because the knob on the front serves 3 functions. It controls your mic gain, your headphone gain, and your mic monitor versus PC mix. To mute the Wave 3, just tap the capacitive sensor on top of the microphone. On the back of both microphones, you have a USB-C connection and a 3.5mm headphone jack for 0 latency monitoring. In the box, you have an 8-foot USB-C to USB-A cable and an adapter to mount your mic to a traditional boom arm. Both mics broadcast at a 24-bit depth, but the Wave 1 has a sample rate of 48 kHz, while the Wave 3 has a sample rate of 96. Elgato has integrated 2 features into these microphones that we don't always see in other USB offerings. The first is a fixed low cut at 80 Hz and a removable low cut at 120 Hz. The other feature is what they're calling clip guard. In short, Elgato creates 2 channels of microphone audio, one with a -20 dB pad. If the primary channel begins to clip, it seamlessly switches to a second channel and then gets boosted so you don't lose volume without clipping. There are some audio solutions like this in the pro audio space, but it's not everywhere. The Wave 1 will sell for $129, while the Wave 3 sells for $159. At the beginning of the video, I said it needs to hold its own as a microphone, so let's see if it's done that. Let's start with the good. It's a surprisingly clean microphone. I was a little bit worried that I would lose some depth in my voice with the 120 Hz cut, but it still sounds pretty full. I'm going to share why I don't love having a harsh low cut at 80 Hz, but I think Elgato's logic on it is pretty sound. Those lower frequencies can be really troublesome for content creators who have a lot of background noise and don't really have treated spaces. There's also plenty of gain to power the microphone, maybe too much gain. I'm only about 20, not even 20%, and I'm about 5 inches away. The 96 kilohertz sample rate on the Wave 3 is pretty impressive. I can only think of 1 or 2 other microphones that offer that sample rate at the same price or less. One thing I really love that they did was they partnered with Lewitt Audio, and Lewitt Audio is a really well-respected microphone company in the pro audio industry. Another thing I love about that is they didn't deviate from the capsule and enclosure designs that Lewitt Audio has kind of made its name for. You see a lot of times that these gaming companies will essentially OEM a capsule from overseas, put it in their own enclosure that's maybe not necessarily designed to fit in a enclosure of that shape. And I'm really glad Elgato stayed really neutral here, didn't try to make any big changes to it, and just kept with something simple and sleek. I was also really impressed with Clip Guard. It works really well for you screamers out there, and if you are worried about how the feature will work, you can actually just disable it right in the Wavelink app. If there was one thing that I wish I could change about this microphone, it would be this little piece right here, the Y mount. It's kind of a flimsy plastic Y mount that doesn't really feel as good as the rest of the product. I really wish that they would have made the Y mount out of metal, and the reason why that is also my second complaint about the microphone. Its weight. I really don't mind having a plastic enclosure, but plastic is going to be lighter than steel or aluminum, so I had to adjust the torque on my PSA-1 to get the microphone to balance. And on the subjective side of thing, again, I don't love the ice cream sandwich style enclosure design. And it's also a little bit awkward if you need to use the microphone off to the side or from above, depending on how your setup looks. I really do think that for most creators, broadcast dynamic microphones are still the ultimate microphone technology to go after. I'm going to speak very generally here. So this is a general, like a generality warning. But generally, broadcast dynamic microphones are just going to pick up less room noise. I'm not really having any room noise issues with this specific microphone, and I think a lot of that is thanks to the low cuts that they put in. You're also missing out on some of that boomy broadcast voice that a lot of people like when you don't have a dynamic capsule. To Elgato's point though, condenser microphones generally do pick up more detail, but at the cost of a little bit higher room noise. Again, I'm not worried about the room noise, and you shouldn't be worried about the room noise that this microphone picks up here. I think it does a great job, but just a generally speaking thing, I would love to have seen more dynamic microphones from these gaming and technology companies instead of more and more USB condenser microphones. Speaking of the low cuts, I don't think that the 80 Hz low cut and the optional 120 Hz low cut are super detrimental to the end result of the microphone, but if you do have a super bassy voice, or you want to hit those different semitones in the bass of your voice, you are going to miss out on a little bit of that. But again, the trade-offs that Elgato is acknowledging and making here 100% make sense. So does it pass the microphone test? I really do think so. It's not without faults, but it's also only through a pro audio lens that those faults are really magnified. This is a $150 microphone that's designed specifically for streamers and content creators, and we should be judging it as such. All right. Whew. Let's get on to the mixer. So as a companion to the Wave 1 and Wave 3 microphones, Elgato has released the Wavelink app. I'm going to do another video in the coming days to dive in deeper with the Wavelink app, but here's the gist of it. The Wavelink app is supported on Mac and PC. Across the top of the app, you have the different columns with your virtual audio devices if you're on Windows, or your individual applications if you're on a Mac. Each column has two sliders. One represents the volume going to your headphones, and the other represents the volume going to your stream. Clicking on the headphone or stream icon will mute the device in the mix. This little link icon allows you to manage your headphone mix and your stream mix separately or together. Down across the bottom, you have these different master tracks for your headphone mix and your stream mix. If you're not familiar with master tracks, they're just the visual representation of all the audio that is going through that source once those sources have been combined. On the bottom right, you have a little listen icon that lets you switch between listening to your headphone mix and listening to your stream mix. And finally, just about anything that you can do in the Wavelink app, you can also map to your Stream Deck. All right, so let's get on with the good. So this is a really cool app. On Windows, Elgato basically combined virtual audio cables and voice meter into something that is a lot more intuitive and simple. There are some limitations that you don't have with those other solutions, but I think the usability hacks are worth it. I have to say, now that Elgato has shown us their take on what a submix interface should look like, it kind of feels like the most obvious de facto interface that we should see for these types of submixes going forward. I was also really impressed that Elgato was able to foresee the need to listen to your stream mix and your headphone mix and be able to toggle back and forth. I kind of expected them to fall flat here. The Stream Deck integration is really well done. If you've got a Stream Deck and you're in the market for a new microphone, it makes it super difficult to go with another solution over the Elgato Wave 1 or Wave 3. Adding programs or stems in the Wavelink app is super intuitive, even more so on the Mac, and it's really nice to be able to rename those stems as well. On to the bad, there's a limit of 9 devices that you can add in the Wavelink app. This limitation feels arbitrary, but it's worth noting that it's there, and after working with content creators for the past 3 years with the most insane audio setups, there are going to be people who use more than that limit. The app is also fixed width, meaning that any more sources beyond 6, you have to horizontally scroll through to get to. Again, that should be super easy to fix in an update. The last concern I have is how this is going to work on 2 PC setups. I think you'll want to run this on your streaming PC, which would make in-game voice comms pretty difficult. I think that there's some ways to get around it, though, with using some listen to this device trickery and using a physical audio cable. I'd love to see them integrate this with game capture, where you could just send your stream mix through your capture card, so you could use this on your gaming PC if you needed to. And on to the subjective notes. And I'm going to try not to go on this part too long, but there has always been this clash among content creators or against hardware versus software versus hybrid mixing solutions. The most risk-averse people are going to stick to their analog boards and their 12 sound cards, but honestly, it's not realistic or expected that content creators, to make great content, need that complicated of a solution. I also think that software solutions have kind of gotten a bad rap because the free ones or inexpensive ones out there have kind of built a bad reputation for reliability and stability, and their UIs are really messy. It's also not always the app's fault. Windows specifically is also pretty fickle. Honestly, Windows is a demon when it comes to managing audio and ninja muting your sources. It can be kind of a pain in the butt, and that reflects on the software that's mixing rather than Windows itself. To have this mixer solution in a sub $150 microphone is a pretty neat implementation. It's still a software mixer, but it's also completely optional. I'd also really like to see a chat mic output device, because as a podcaster, I need that soundboard channel to pump through my voice chat for my guests. So lastly, what's really interesting to me is that technically there's no reason for the app to be tied to the microphone at all. They're all virtual devices. I wonder if after they've spent some time with the Wave 1 and Wave 3 and making sure everything is stable and working, if they won't open that up to more people to use and buy. Ultimately, as a software mixing solution, the Wavelink app totally holds its own and has some incredible innovations for streamers to manage their different mixes. There are some arbitrary limitations that seem easily addressable by future updates. And while it is a little bit more limited than some of those other voice meter options, it's far more user-friendly and transparent. I really gotta hand it to Elgato here. They made a solid microphone, a solid software mixing solution with Stream Deck integration. They put it into one product, and they kept the price under $200. The year is 2020, and you can buy a microphone and a half from Elgato for the price of a key light. The Wave 1 and Wave 3 microphones and software mixing is not without its flaws, but nearly all of them are calculated trade-offs. And as someone who has designed audio products for creators from the ground up, I can appreciate that challenge. So should you buy it? If you're a new creator on a smaller budget and this is your first dive into streaming audio, Heck yes. You can still loop this into other mixing solutions through the headphone jack down the road, should you decide that you need to upgrade to something a little bit more robust. If you're a creator with one of the competing USB microphones, I still think it's worth a look at trading for the Wavelink app. If you have a Stream Deck, it's an even bigger upgrade. Now, if you've got a few $100s to spend and you're not really sure what to get, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. I usually don't recommend USB condenser microphones to people unless they're on a tighter budget and need a full stack solution. The next step up from this microphone is, in my opinion, something like a Go XLR Mini and a sub $100 to $200 dynamic broadcast microphone like the PodMic. But that's gonna set you back $350. And finally, for you audiophiles out there with your Go XLRs and your studio racks and your analog mixers, a USB condenser microphone probably isn't for you as your daily driver anyways. However, this is a pretty killer backup, alternative, or mobile setup if that's something that you're looking for. So that's it. Elgato really made a splash with Project Wave, and I really have to applaud their attempts and the choices they made. In my opinion, Elgato has set the bar for USB microphones going forward, and HyperX, Blue, and Logitech have a lot of catching up to do. Again, I am John Horseman. You can find me online at all my social medias down in the description below. I've also got a link to my Discord down there if you want to chat streaming or audio or really anything. If you liked the video, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and let me know down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get notifications for when I post the next video. See you next time.